and technique which are useless without application of theoretical knowledge. That's why I embroidered that. Because that is what makes a difference. That is what makes you professional. And every time I talk, that's why I say you should not be scared that somebody will take your job. Don't be scared that machine will take over your job. Because what makes the machine to be effective is the knowledge that you have. The theoretical knowledge to perform complex procedure. It is no longer just glucose in urine, protein in serum. The evolution has gone beyond that. So it is now complex procedure on tissue specimen, blood sample, and other body fluid. The tests and procedure that MLS perform now provide critical informations that enable diagnosis, treatment, monitoring, and management of diseases. You can see there an expansion in the scope. The evolution of what we can call laboratory medicine. So it has moved from the rudiment examination of human body fluid, as defined by the great Hippocrates, to the early 18th century of integration into the laboratory medicine. And the first laboratory in Johns Hopkins that was established in 1896 cost only $50. In our context today, we are talking about $50,000. And if you bring that to maybe Naira, you are talking about few millions. But if you are going to establish a laboratory with sophisticated equipment that will provide the holistic service that we are talking here today, you are talking about billions of Naira. You are talking about real investments, collaboration. And that is why in the future, it will be almost impossible for an individual to own a laboratory, because laboratory will then go into a full industrial revolution. That so many people will need to come together. And until we start getting used and prepared to that, we will lose out. Because if we don't come together in health service system, businessman will take over. And we will become their tools, their washing machine. You know, it's the person that have the dollar that dictates what goes on. So that is what we are talking about today. So there is constant evolution in laboratory. What I tell people is that one of the most dynamic profession in health system today is diagnostic medicine, is laboratory. It keeps changing. It keeps moving. The evolution is so impressive, and it has evolved from empirical to experimental, from evidence-based to personalized medicine, and proved that clinical lab is now truly becoming the medical authority, the pivot of patient care. Of course, we cannot overemphasize that with the current pandemic that we have experienced. Without the clinical laboratory, the world population would have been reduced to only God knows. But because of the quick intervention of the laboratory medicine, diagnosis has allowed not only monitoring, but it has also allowed response and patient tracing. Now, this quote of Albert Einstein have been a pivotal pillar in my career. The significant problem we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were when we created them. Now, I was discussing with some of my undergraduate students a few days ago, and I said, in my own generation, when you see a young man and a young woman holding themselves on the street, you begin to wonder, just holding. Now, if you wonder these days, the young people will tell you something is wrong with your brain. Because holding over does not mean anything to them. You know what they do? I was traveling from a city to another city in an European country with my family, and right on the train, two young men were doing the unthinkable. They don't care whether people are there. Now, we call that civilization, but it is madness that is changing our lifestyle. There have been so many theories of the advent of diseases. People said HIV/AIDS was as a result of zoonotics, because of sexual relationship with higher monkeys. Now, but in this generation, what are we still talking about? One of the most threatening pandemic in the world today remains zoonotics. Because men have continued to explore. And for us to keep healthy, we have to move beyond our explorative mind. Now, when you sit down gently in your house and somebody is doing madness somewhere, when the outcome of that madness begin to affect the society, it will not respect you that is sitting in your house. So when they are doing their madness, we need to start planning that when the output of their madness is coming, we will be ready to protect our society. And that is where things are going. Now, I'm sure that some of us that are here are conversant with this. This is what laboratory used to be in those days. You will be surprised that some laboratories are still in this, if not worst, in 2021. But this is what we are used to. Some of the laboratory where we are trained, I remember in UCH that day, this is the setup of the chemical pathology laboratory, if you remember. And in John Hopkins in those days, this laboratory was said to be sophisticated. But if you can hardly find this type of laboratory anywhere in the developed world today. Even in Nigeria, things are changing. Now, why? It is because there is an integration of pure science, engineering, informative science, social sciences, integrating and coming together into the laboratory medicine. Automation, specifically, is the creation of technology and its application in order to control and monitor the procedure and delivery services. If you are not careful, you want to synchronize that with human resources. But here, we are talking about creation of a technology that increase precision and remove burden from human resources. And laboratory automation is a multidisciplinary strategy to research, development, optimization, capitalization of technology in laboratory that enable new and improved processes, new and improved procedures. Some of the things that we were taught in undergraduate that are too theoretical, because it is unthinkable that human resources will be able to technicalize those procedures. But automation, machine can be programmed to do it. And so they are becoming an empirical tools that are currently being used in the laboratory. Though automation is no longer new, the integration of engineering, pure and applied science, especially mathematics and computer science, is bringing an amazing revolution into medicine. So most of the tools we use today are equipped with computer, they are equipped with analytical hardware, supporting software, and these devices may soon usher in a new era in laboratory testing. It's happening already. It's happening already. And that is why the young people may have to run faster than the old people. It is natural. If a 17, 19 years old want to run a race with me, there is no way I can catch up with him. But if you want to run at my pace, you have forgotten that many years ago I was at your level and I was running at my own pace. So if you want to run, you will be wasting your future. You will be wasting your future. And that is why sometimes I feel sad when I see that young people are getting involved into harming politics. These old people, leave them for politics. The truth is that many of them are tired. And politics is keeping them alive. You are just starting. I don't think what you want to do with your life is unprofitable politics. But when you involve in politics, involve with revolution. Involve with a new idea. Bring something new on the table. Don't behave like us. The recent advances in artificial intelligence have added another dimension, and I will be talking about them very shortly. And therefore, there is an increased use of customized voice control, So, same thing you are experiencing with your Android. The same thing you are experiencing with information technology. That is also happening in laboratory medicine. Now, in the current trend, this is probably what you will see in most of the lab. This is the current trend, automation. This is what you will see in most of the lab. It is no longer seeing people pipetting. I remember when I was doing my first final, I tell people all the time, when I was doing my first final, and the time was up against me, and I didn't know what to do, and I had to taste urine. But thank God, It was a same generation. If it's this generation, you can't trace anybody's urine. You may never come out of it. But nobody is pipetting anything anymore. I hope you are still not using mouth to pipette in your lab. Anyway, that's what we started with. We were using mouth to pipette. Thank God for keeping us safe. But if you see anybody doing now, that person should be arrested because of biosafety. So it's no longer happening again. And that is why it is because of the advent of automation, new technology that are coming. You can see that the face of laboratory has changed. And is still changing. And you will see what is going to happen. Now, the vision-guided robotic, even as from the beginning of what we call phlebotomy, collection of sample, robotic with laser can actually trace the vein. Sometimes you struggle. I remember when we were doing a national nutrition survey, and we have to be collecting sample from babies all over the country, Nigeria, and we'll be doing femoral tap. I remember one man one day while we were trying to look for the femur to tap the blood, and the man could not stand in anymore. The next thing I saw was cutlass. All of us were on the race. But technology has changed that, because you have a later race that can actually trace the vein. And some of the needles that are being used are now laced with nanotechnology that you will not even feel the puncture. That's what technology has done. Now, if you couple that multiple dimensional discipline together, what you are going to get is what you are seeing. The patient just sit down. You don't need any aided person. Stretch your hand. Position the machine. Machine look for the vein. Before you see it, all the sample is collected. You just pick out the sample. You won't even know that the sample has been collected. That is what robotic does. And that is from the point of collection of sample to the point of getting that samples ready for analysis. In most of the developed laboratory, this is the pattern that you see. The sample bottle are coded and allow machine with artificial intelligence to be able to read the code, the informations on the bottle. And the sample are conveyed and transported from the point of sample collection. From the ward, all you need to do is to go to the side of the ward, put the sample there. The sample is taken to the lab. The preparation is done. The sample are taken to where the serum are separated. The sample are taken to the appropriate machine, because the machine can read the code. It knows what you want to do on this sample. Is E and U. So it takes it to the U and U machine. Everything is run. Somebody is just controlling. That is what robotics and artificial intelligence is doing. So we are going through digital revolution. The 21st century inadvertently has brought in digital revolution that has changed the face of society. What we are seeing in the production industry, what we are seeing in economy with banking and finance, what we are seeing in social life, especially social media, is also coming into the laboratory. It's already in the laboratory. And most of the time when I go on the road, I see the young people, they are always on their phone. They love that phone more than their life. They don't care whether vehicle is coming or not. They are chatting on social media. Now, that, if you can transfer that to science, to application of medicine, to laboratory medicine, there is so much room for it. This has led to digitalization of the healthcare. There is obvious increasing number and variety of medical tests that are now coming on board. So medical record is swelling up. So we have big data challenges, big data management issue. And for us to be able to scale up into the new millennium medicine, there is a need for rigorous, aggressive capacity building and capacity development. Today, easy access to real-time information offers laboratory personnel an opportunity for the prevention and early treatment of diseases. Because of digitalization of services, laboratory is no longer an hidden personnel that we advertise. There is somebody working behind the scene. People in the laboratory are no longer working behind the scene. COVID-19 pandemic has shown that very obviously. They are now in the front row, the front line of providing medical services. And that will continue to grow. That will continue to expand. Now you can see the change. This is the trend. This is the new trend. This is what the laboratory of the future that is already here. This is what it's going to look like. So this is the introduction of digital, artificial intelligence, automation into the laboratory services. Now this is becoming compact. This is becoming well refined and sophisticated to a point where all you see is an empty rooms with machine. Now was it not last year or 2 years ago, I went back to my lab in North America, and I saw that everything in that lab is completely new. Everything has changed. And every time I go there, I have to sneak in late in the evening to come and work with the postdoc and PhD student to learn the new thing, because I almost become a novice. If I go away for more than 1 year, I am a novice. And this particular year, I got to the place and I hardly see any monitor where you control any of the machines. So I was wondering. So I asked one of the postdoc students, I said, how do you do this machine? He said, everybody has the app on their phone. It's controlling your app. It's controlling the platform. So you speak the language of learning to this machine and they respond. It doesn't matter where they are as long as there is internet. Now, the world is also moving far away from internet now. We are now using cloud technology. That it doesn't matter whether there is internet anymore. As long as you have the data in the cloud, you can interact with the data. You can speak with the machine. And the machine will respond. Now, I can sit down in my house here in Nigeria and monitor what my children do in my house in North America. Because all I need is an app to be able to control. And if they leave the door open and they go anywhere and they are careless, I can lock the door from Nigeria. And that's what we are talking about. So now you interact with this complex machine. So you can see where I was emphasizing in the new definition. Sophisticated instruments with complex analysis. Now this machine, as beautiful as they are, as compact as they are completely useless without theoretical knowledge. Without a brain behind it. Now, so what I explain to people is that this machine is not going to get you out of service. This machine is going to provide comfort and freedom for you, because you can get your work done from anywhere. You can get your work done with more precision. As many as the machines are, they need so many people to control them, because we are not talking about complex interactive services. Now you also understand and appreciate that the training is not going to change, because these machines are more sophisticated than you. They have been trained to be precise and accurate. Now, if you do not develop enough theoretical background, skill, and sophistication to interact with this machine, the message you will get all the time is error. They throw your message back to you and say there is error. Sometimes you will spend 2 days troubleshooting. And somebody that understands the language, you just walk in 5 minutes, you put it to work, and you are embarrassed. You look at yourself like a fool. Because this machine is telling you, old man, go back to school. You are useless here. And that is what we are talking about here. So this is the way things are going to look like. And because of artificial intelligence, because of advancing technology, the use of drone is becoming actively involved in laboratory survey, especially in blood banking system. In war fronts of Afghanistan, this was used a lot during the American intervention in Afghanistan. Blood are actually transported from the United States of America to the war front using drone. And you know they can never miss the road, because you are using cable that is suspended in the air. So it's going precisely to where driver can miss the road. These drones don't miss the road. They don't miss the road. They go straight to where you will drop them. And every environment that is required has been provided. In our days, we were taught about jumbo bus. Do you still remember jumbo bus? What we have here is controlled environment that keeps the red blood cell alive for the 120 days that is naturally required. You don't even achieve that in your blood bank. You don't achieve that in your practice. But because of technology, you can actually manipulate all that. So, implantation will quantify the concentration for no number of laboratory parameters, and the data will be stored in the cloud for services at the fingertip of the patient and sovereignty of us. And the beauty of this is that patients themselves will get more and more involved in the decision making and laboratory service because the data is in the cloud. I have access to my data. Now, in North America, all your data, you have your code to your health system record. So all I need to do is to enter my SIN number, enter my code. I have all my data, and I can review all my data. From the first day I entered North America and I registered with NIH, you can see all your visitation in the consulting room, all your visitation in the laboratory, all your parameters. You can monitor the progression of your diseases. Why do you think people are living older, 120, 130, 140 years old? Because now, because of digitalization, its delivery system is becoming more simpler. And you can begin to imagine what advantage if you are going to have the power to determine your own health. If you are going to have the power to contribute to your own medical decision. If somebody is trying to mess up with you, you can pick a phone and call a senior consultant and say, well, I saw something on my data right now. I'm not comfortable. Can I have it review? Within 24 hours, it will be reviewed. Because of the fact that you now have an opportunity to have access to your own data. Now, availability of online service, we, of course, strengthen predictive medicine. Predictive medicine is a fast-growing area of medicine where before you even get a disease, it is possible to predict what kind of diseases you will have. Since from the time the World Human Genome Sequence was published, almost all the genes that make up of the system has been annotated. Their functions have been established. So it's possible for you to look at your genetic profile and say that in the next 10 years, it is most likely that I will develop cancer. When you look at your genealogy, your heritage, you look at your current data, and you look at the biomarkers in your system, and you monitor it over time, it is now possible to predict that the next, because my father died of prostate cancer, my great-grandfather died of prostate cancer, in my immediate senior brother died of prostate cancer, this is the new marker of prostate cancer that is coming up in my system, and the way things are going, the progression is that in the next 10 years, I may have prostate cancer myself. You can walk into the clinic before that 10 years and say, remove the prostate, I don't want it. Because of predictive medicine. And of course, when you become who you come, what do you want to do with that prostate anymore? You can do the same thing with breast cancer, predictive. And then you can do cosmetic and remove the damn useless thing if it's going to reduce your lifespan. And then you will explain to your husband that, please, you have to manage what you have because I want to live longer. Because I want to live longer. Now, that is an area of medicine that is growing. An area of medicine that is growing. And with the genomic-wide associations studies, it's possible to do a complete analysis of your DNA fingerprinting and to be able to see the clinical phenotype of those genes as they are being expressed in your body. So you can begin to talk about how healthy you will be in 10 years, how healthy you will be, so you can most accurately do prophylaxis therapy and elongate your lifespan. But I don't know if that will be enough for you to live forever. But at least you can expand your lifetime. Now that is the way the world is going. Now, the unfortunate thing is that all of us want to run to where that is happening. We refuse, we don't want to do the same thing in our society and our community. And I laughed. And young men, that will surprise you, that where you have a shiny future is this country, believe me. Because where you are going to be a laborer. Everything is done. There is gold in this country. There is opportunities in this country. You should sit down and ask yourself, why are the Chinese running here? Where are the Indians running here? The Turkish and the Pakistanis, why are they running here? Why are other countries running here? It's because we are in a virgin land, a land of opportunity, a land of gold, a land where you can use your brain and you can become a millionaire within 72 hours. This is the only country that happens. It doesn't happen anywhere anymore. This is a country where you discover something that is completely new and innovative and nobody is thinking about it, and within a week, you became a multimillionaire. You became because the whole world is becoming a small village. Look at that young girl that was just singing on YouTube, and before you know, she became an international singer. This is a country where there are opportunity. Where you are going to, the only thing you will find is competition. A very serious competition. But yeah, what you will find is opportunity and exploration. So, focus on what you can do. Now, medical laboratory will play an active role in the future of the millennium medicine, which is going to be the nerve of healthcare delivery system all over the world. Now, the entire world are not going to wait for us. Now, this is one of the advantages of telemedicine, telepathology, using the information technology, using CIT, using the technology to increase the precision of medicine. Sometimes ago, I was in Chicago, and I was sitting down with the pathologists we were discussing, and there was a time, their time of reviewing of pathology slide. And his whole screen on the wall came alive, and he adjusted his seat. And as of the time he was looking at that slide, about 15 pathologists in different countries were looking at the same slide. About 15 pathologists were looking at the same slide. It's at the same time. So there is an interaction to increase and improve precision. I have witnessed so many patients in this country that undergo surgery when they don't need it. Because there is one single person that look at the tissue and said this is metastasis when it is an artifact. Because there is no second opinion. And you know, skill is accumulated over time. Skill does not depend on your certificate. It does not depend on your formal education. Skill depends on opportunity to acquire experiences. And when you have that kind of a pathology that I visited, that have been a pathologist for 35 years, and yet it cannot make a single decision without other people. We are talking about accuracy and precision here. And yet, in the same country, somebody describes us as jungle, and sometimes I don't know whether it's true or not. One single person will sit down in a single four-corner room and take a life and death decision on a patient and declare that patient unfit to live without second opinion. Even in veterinary medicine, nobody does that anymore. Even animals are respected. Not to talk of human being. Just because somebody comes to the clinic and said, I have a lump here, and that lump is paining me, and they take a biopsy, and then they go to the lab, make an H&E, and somebody sit down in a small room. Maybe that is the 10th slide he will be reading in his life since he became a consultant. And then he will look at that slide and say, this is metastatic, and write a report, and somebody will you to surgery and remove your breast. In a civilized country, is aberration. It's not done anymore. Because there are now opportunity to network. And this is not limited to location. All you need to do is to register into that network. And you have several people looking at this slide at the same time. And artificial intelligence has improved efficiency of this. Because in artificial intelligence, you can now do a machine learning to be able to interpret this slide. You can actually teach a machine to be able to look at the pattern of the Chinese slide, and I'm going to share some of those things with you. But let me just progress quickly to artificial intelligence. This is the ability of a digital computer or a computer control robot to perform tasks that is associated with human being. They can count, they can identify pattern, they can interpret based on the software and informations that have been provided to those machines. They are designed to match human flexibility over wider domain. Because most of the time when you are using artificial intelligence, you are using multiple cases. Your experiences in life maybe is limited to about 50, 100, 200 cases. But with artificial intelligence, you can look at 500,000 cases. And the machine will be able to capture the pattern of those 500,000 cases. There is the probability that anybody will assist other side 500,000 is almost a zero. And that means that the machine can capture that pattern and be able to make a predictive diagnosis of the situation with the patient. So the machine reason like human, they discover meaning, they generalize, they learn from past experience, they take decisions that minimize chances of errors. And this is an example of what we are talking about. This is one of our own work that was presented very recently in a conference by one of my postgraduate students. This is looking at the Gradient scores of prostate cancer. And the database that the students used was an American database where you have the H&E slide well categorized. So you have Gradient score 1 to 5, talking about the severity of the metastasis. Now you have multiple of that images that are captured by machine, and the machine are then taught, they learn how to read those slides. They learn how to interpret those slides. So that when you bring in your slide and slot it into the machine, it is the same thing you do with DNA fingerprinting. What do you do with the DNA? You capture everybody's data in the country, put your own DNA. The machine search for it and say this is Mr. Edet. Because the DNA of Mr. Edet is already in the bank. So the machine can identify him. Even if he run away from Los Angeles to California, the police in California will go and arrest him. Because he cannot change his fingerprinting. The same thing with these slides. The machines are now used to them. They don't make error. So they know where they have learned the patterns. So the pattern is like this. This is Gradient score 1. If the pattern is like this is Gradient score 5. And so they can predict the severity of metastasis. So when the patient can respond to chemotherapy, the machine can predict that this patient will respond to chemotherapy. If the patient can respond to radiotherapy, the machine can predict. If the patient will benefit from surgery, the machine can immediately predict that the metastasis has not spread because it's at this level, so the patient can benefit from surgery. That is what machine learning is bringing on the table. So this allows processing and extracting meaningful interpretation from facts and complex data that required artificial intelligence, which are managed by complex software system that enable computer to augment and even imitate human intelligence in decision making. That is what machine learning does. Imitate human intelligence in decision making. The only difference now is that the machine is working at a sophisticated level to be able to minimize error. And then the patient will be able to benefit massively. Now, disruptive technology will fundamentally change the laboratory tests. Of course, all these things coming into the lab, we inevitably change the way we practice medicine. Now, the medical informatics allow all the information that has to do with the patient care to be available to both healthcare deliverers and the patient. Now, what we are talking here, you all agree with me that this is not just only experimentation. Now, what I tell my undergraduate students is that all you need is the solid fundamental knowledge of medical laboratory sciences. The moment you graduate with Bachelor of Medical Lab Science, you are already a medical laboratory scientist. Whatever you do after that does not change that. If I become a professor, it does not change the license that you are also holding. We are holding the same license. We have the same legal rights to practice. Now, so why do you want to spend your whole life in that locus? You are already a medical lab scientist. There are so many things that is happening in the world now. Get out of the box. And that is what I'm encouraging the young people to do now. After BMS, let's go and do computer science. After BMS, let's go and do biomedical engineering. After medical science, go and do informatics. Go and do genomics. Go and do epigenetics. Go and do informatics. Go ahead of time. Because when that time comes, they will be looking for you. And that time will come. So you have opportunity to invest. Now, when I talk about genomics in the global context today, people imagine, how did you get all this knowledge? And I smile. Because the truth is that there is nothing special about genomics. What makes a difference between me and basic scientists is that I have fundamental medical science knowledge. Don't listen to what they say. Some people can call themselves medically qualified. You are not medically qualified. The moment you go to medical school, even if all you did is BSc medical biochemistry, you are already medically qualified. Because all your life, you are going to make decisions that is going to affect health decisions. So what I did was to spend my yearly life training myself in accumulating knowledge in genomics. I was telling one of my postgraduate students that wanted to go to one of the places I went to in Switzerland. I said, you have an opportunity. I'm paying for your trip. When I went to that place and as alumni, my wife was pregnant. She was sitting Ekpa and Gary. Because I took all the money in the house and I went to Basel. But you know, I was lucky. I didn't marry all these new generation ladies. I was lucky. All you need to do is to convince my wife. The investment and the future. Even if you say you don't want to do it again, she's the one that will carry cutlass. And sometimes I will say, Shebi, it was my idea. He said, no, you are going to do that thing you said. So I went to Basel on my own. When I went to Harvard on my own. I was already in Harvard before I got scholarship. I was already in Harvard but you know one thing that is undoing us in this country, we are desperate for free gifts. We're always looking for something free. And if that thing is not coming on your way, you remain who you are. It's a shame. You must invest. You must learn to invest. And you can never stop investing into your life. I'm still investing in my life. Just 2 years ago, I woke up one morning and I decided to go to Israel for a health management program. The registration fee alone was $4,000. I did not have that $4,000. But I told myself, I registered in faith. And I told myself I will attend that program. Because I've read so many things about the health system in Israel. And I wanted to see it with my eyes. And I started accumulating all my salary. And how much do teacher collect? It's very mega. But you see, again, my wife understood and said, no, don't worry for now. Just plan for what you are doing. And by the time I was ready, she was also ready. Because she's a woman, not America, they will get money. They won't give me money, but they will give them. So we went together. And that changed my concept of health management. That was an investment. But after that program, today, I have given more consultancy advice to the Ministry of Health that I've brought times 10 of the money that I spent to attend that program. So you cannot just sit down and don't develop yourself. And look at the dynamism of data that are going to be available. We are talking about the record of the patient. We are talking about data that are generated in the laboratory. We are talking about all the biographic data of the patient, amazing data, all the molecular data and bioinformatics data, the medical informatics from individual patients. All these data are big data. Big data that as an individual, you will not be able to manage. As an individual, you cannot interpret for the purpose of decision because they are massive data. We are talking the genes that makes up your body alone is more than 400,000 genes. And you have about 1 trillion sequencing in your DNA. Now you have this massive data that is available for machine that is configured to be able to read and interpret that data. What do you think is going to happen to health service in the future? So what are you going to do? Sit down and watch? What are you going to do? Complaining and lamenting? What are you going to do? Talking about what is going on in AMC, how they are stealing your money? And I ask question, how much is that money? The one money that we are talking about in AMC, how much? Now when you begin to arrive, you will ask them one day, how much do you need in AMC? Come to my office and pick the check. And that is what we are talking about here. That the patient information generation and storage in the laboratory is a practical that has grown within the medical profession, and it will continue to grow. Unfortunately, these data are kept essentially for medical legal cases or reference purposes. That is the stage we are now. The accumulation of the data is going on all over the world. Some people said we are preparing for Antichrist. But the truth is that there is massive accumulation of data. Even in Nigeria. Now, today we are talking about what the Ministry of Health is doing. Now, because for the COVID-19 responses, there is unilateral EP database that everybody interacts with. It means that all the data that has to do with COVID-19 in Nigeria is available. That's what it means. Those data are seated massively. It takes you that have invested and have developed yourself to be able to make senses of those data. The epidemiologists can only accumulate. The people in the lab can generate that data. But it's the man that uses that data that makes the money. And that man is you. Because the whole world is waiting for that man. The data are there all over. In America, in Europe, people are accumulating data every day. And those data are going to influence and change the health delivery care system in the future. So you see how where you have to develop yourself, why you have to evolve. As the big data continue to grow in healthcare, the need for implementing artificial intelligence and machine learning technique into laboratory medicine is inevitable. Whether you like it or not, it will happen. But you know the advantage you are going to have. You have the knowledge of laboratory medicine. You have the knowledge of diagnosis. You have the knowledge of monitoring. You have the knowledge of interpreting that data into care. That knowledge is what makes you unique. Somebody with massive knowledge in computer today may not be as good as you are because you have the fundamental basic knowledge. You can use that data better. Now, the person that taught me computational biology has a BSc in computer science, MSc computer science, PhD computational biology. Is a computer scientist to the core. But he is the director of precision medicine in the whole of Canada today. When he talks about precision medicine, you will open your mouth. But you know why he likes talking to me? Because the fundamentals that I learned in the school of medical lab remain precious. And all the time you want to listen to that fundamentals. You want to listen to the phenotype of the patient. I met the woman that discovered Plasmodium falciparum, a Nobel laureate woman in Germany. And we were talking together. You know what that woman told me? He said the only dream that she has in her life that she has not achieved is that she has not seen a malaria patient before. And she was begging me to invite her to Nigeria, even though she is afraid of Nigeria. Now, you are seated where the gold is. You can't see anything. Somebody have not even seen malaria patient before. I told her, I said, look, I'm a malaria patient. And that is what we are talking about. Now, one of the things I saw in Harvard was the gradual development of biosensor system. I also work on the biosensor system for diagnosis when I was in Canada. Now, what they are doing, and it's almost at the finishing stage, is that you don't need to carry cash again to anywhere because of biosensor. There is a chip that is engraved under your skin. The moment you enter a supermarket, your data can be accessed from the computer. Your bank account, your health, your insurance, everything can be accessed. And the moment you pick a product on the shelf, because they are electronically labeled, the moment you pick it, the price is deducted automatically from your account. And when you replace it on the shelf, maybe because you don't like it, you are credited immediately. So it means that you don't need money anymore. You just walk into a restaurant, you take whatever. It means you can't steal anymore. Because the door will not open for you if you don't have that chips. Those people that think they will escape Antichrist, they are joking. Because the world is preparing. The world is preparing. It was amazing. I have the video. If time permits, I would have shown you the video so you can see how it works. The moment you pick, your bank account is deducted. And if you walk into that place and you have an infectious disease, the security man will immediately guide you to where you are going to do your purchase. Because you will be flagged when you enter that restaurant. That is what artificial intelligence and digital era is doing to millennium medicine. So accessing digital data will enable laboratory medicine to contribute at it currently does to medical communication more effectively. So you are not going to be limited to people that are working behind the scene. You know, when we were being trained, we were proud of those things. Medical lab scientists, the unseen faces behind the scene, behind the scene. But I'm no longer behind the scene. Do you want to remain behind the scene? Because the data, the empirical data you are generating is now interfacing with engineering platform, computer platform, and you are needed on the forefront to make many of those data. It's now left for you to develop yourself and make yourself relevant. And because of the big data management, there is also a challenge of data thief, manipulation of data. And that is where cybersecurity comes in. This is the protection of internet connected systems such as hardware, software, and data from cyber threats. Cybersecurity prevents unauthorized access to data across the internet space, information closure, thief, and damages. But if you see the way the world is going, we are moving from 4G to 5G. 5G is becoming more sophisticated. It's more difficult to unauthorizedly access data on 5G. But more importantly, everybody is moving towards cloud storage that does not work exclusively on internet platform. There are so many devices that can interact with cloud without internet. A good example of them is your GPS system. It doesn't need an internet to work. Yet it interacts with cloud storage data. The map is on the cloud, and your GPS can interface with it. So to intercept that is more difficult than using an internet platform. That is growing. That is growing. And because we are talking about massive big data here, cloud technology is becoming the place to go. And that is where almost everybody is going now. Now, how do I end this? Capacity development of member is in line with current evolution. We cannot run away from it. Capacity, and we cannot do it in silos. We cannot do it in bits. Some of us have been involved all our life trying to develop capacity in our silos. But the rate of evolution is so massive that even the core laboratory medicine is evolving rapidly. molecular diagnosis, nanotechnology, biosensor, forensic, fingerprinting, omics, pharmacogenomics, lipomics. Everything is changing. It's changing from surface analysis to cellular analysis. So as we have the challenge to develop capacity in that area, there is an integration of engineering, an integration of computer science, an integration of computational biology, bioinformatics, disease modeling, mathematics, and algorithm. It will continue to grow, whether you like it or not. If you are a young man that is interested in exploration, that's what they say. They say young people are explorative. This is your time. This is your generation. You have so massive, wide area to venture to. So we cannot run away from national training. If our government is irresponsible, what happened to our societies? What happened to our association? What happened to our regulatory bodies? What happened to our philanthropies? There must be a strategic and cohesive national training. There must be strong collaboration between MLSCN and AMSI. All the time we wait before we start fighting. I fight far ahead. That by the time you are ready to fight, you are powerless. If you enter my lab, I can't see any pathologist that will work in that lab. Because everything is sophisticated. So there is no struggling. What are you going to struggle about? What are you going to struggle? It's about skill. It's about development. And there are so many new areas of laboratory medicine that is growing. So I don't know what AMSIN and MLSCN will do by recruiting these young people and sponsor them ahead of time. Let them go and do informatics. Let them come back and be employed in a university and start training others. Let's begin to provide grants for these young people. Whether you like it or not, legal integration is going to increase in Nigeria. Health insurance will change. What is going to be the fate of our people if we don't have people that have the capacity to interface? And we can plan into the future. Every money that is invested into a young man today is a dividend for the growth of this profession. And we should not shy away from it. We should strategically, collaboratively, when we are investing and planting, there will be no money to steal because we use the money profitably. And that's what we are talking about here. And whether we like it or not, laboratory medicine is laboratory medicine. Whether you are a medical lab sciences or a pathologist or whatever your background is, or you are a clinical scientist, all of us are going to contribute to decision making for the healthcare. It is the man that has something to put on the table that will be respected, irrespective of what your background is. So you can deceive yourself and say laboratory belongs to me. Laboratory belongs to me. Nobody should come into my laboratory. The day they bring a machine that you cannot use, they will kick you out of that lab and bring somebody that can use that machine. So we should plan ahead. We should sit down around table. In my laboratory in North America, when I talk to my pathology friend, I tell them there are 4 categories of people that work in that laboratory, and there is no conflict. People that are medical lab scientists work in that laboratory, pathologists work in that laboratory, clinical scientists work in that laboratory, and technicians are the most powerful people in that laboratory. Everybody is contributing to healthcare. Everybody knows their limit. And you know what makes a difference between all of us? Is the license that we are holding. If medical lab sciences council enter a lab and they want to do accreditation, they can't talk to pathologists, they will talk to their own members. If the pathologists come to the laboratory and they don't want to do anything, they can't talk to you, they don't regulate your practice, they talk to the pathologists. If the clinical scientist comes in, like I'm a member of American Society of Clinical Scientists. You know what I do most of the time? Because I have a fellow of the Royal College of Pathology. And I'm a medical laboratory scientist. What I do over the time is the one that brings more money to my table that I affiliate with. That's what I affiliate with. What makes a difference is what you can do. That's what makes a difference. So we should not shy away from collaboration. And I believe that even if we want to, the platform is changing. Stepping up practice and business model is the way to go. Let me just finish by saying that the future outlook, the practice will change over the next decade. There is no doubt about that. What happened? Did I do anything? Now, the practice will change over the next decade due to advancement of technology. Each professionals will have to brace up for the coming evolution. What do you then do? Prepare for training and training and training and training and training. Thank you very much.
You can do better than that. You can do better than that. Wow, 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 wow. You can now sit down. Wow, this is fantabulous. Please, those on the high table, you can still come back to the high table. Okay, wow. I lack words to demonstrate how fulfilled I am that I'm here today to participate and listen to this lecture. Somebody say a professor is a professor, but we have professors that are more than professors. Please, I don't have applause for our prof again. I don't know whether I don't know that you are feeling the way I'm feeling. Have prof done justice to our topic? Have prof done justice to our topic? I believe that this topic we should pay more than 100,000 to listen to it. I know many persons can pay more than this, but why we are doing this is for us, just like Prof has said towards the end. He said that we need to train, retrain, train, and what? Train. We have so many persons that will give remarks because I'm too small to even comment on what I listen, because I'm feeling that I never start. Because I can see so many things. When you were speaking, I was jotting. I've seen so many areas that actually that is meant for me. I think it's me that is meant for. That is why I'm here. So without wasting much time, I'll give a microphone to one or two persons on the high table. After them, we'll give space for 3 questions. 3 questions from the participants. Okay, we have 3 questions here and maybe 1 online. So that we can, before Prof leaves, we can address something. I know most of us have questions, so we'll address something. So the comments, after the comments, we'll read some comments online too. Then you can now ask your questions. Thank you very much. Okay, you can go ahead, Chairman.
Okay. I think Prof deserves another round of applause. Sometimes in 2011, when we had a conference in Makurdi, I think you made a presentation. And that year I said, there are profs and there are props. But we don't want to be offensive to academics by saying that some are more professorial than others. Because if you say that in academics, you are rubbishing some other professors. But we are very proud of you. We are very, very proud of you. It is very important for us to be here. And I do appreciate those who have joined virtually, that are online. Because it would have been a very big miss if one was not here, either physically or virtually. I can appreciate our National Publicity Secretary when he walks in. I say, yes, this is a conference worthy of being attended, all the way from Abuja. So, I said earlier on when I gave my opening remark that I was going to Ikeja. But I assure you that Professor Akinloye will be here. So when he came and he wanted to start his speech, I said, I will definitely not go until after his presentation. And I'm happy I made that decision. Because we keep on learning and learning. Some of us, when we teach somewhere, they thought we had known everything. But when you listen to other presentations, you felt that you had not known anything. So, Prof, we are very inspired. And for your information, his doctoral thesis was supervised by a clinician. So some of us who are making enemies in the lab and saying this one is fighting with me, is not, personal development will be of essence if you submit yourself to learning from those who know. So please, young ones, you have a lot to gain from this presentation. Here, when I was talking about the need for you to go into bioinformatics, the need to know more about artificial intelligence and robotics, when I was giving my impression about the topic that has been selected, the team that has been selected for this discussion. And now you know that the bench work alone is not your jurisdiction. You have wider jurisdictions that all of us could divide ourselves into. And you can pick a lot of things from what he has said today. That is a serious message to the younger ones. And he said, you cannot walk at our own pace. Maybe you didn't capture that. He said if he and a younger person has to run, the younger one will run faster. But if the younger one wanted to run at his own pace, he will be slowed back. Is it not? And he said that will be dangerous for your future. So those are the key messages which you must also pick from the presentation. Prof, I have not regretted my not going to Ikeja now before your presentation. And I think now I can take my leave and go to Ikeja to go and make my presentation. I want to appeal to all of us. Why we are running here and there, it is because, like he said, he was at a meeting earlier, he will also go for another meeting, and he may also go to another, up to midnight. It is because a kind of investment have been made in the past. So if we are running here and there to give talks here and there, to make input here and there, it is because of the previous investment. Please make yours now. Politically in AMSI, all these investments are necessary. When I was the national president of AMSI, and I'm happy Soji is here, because he was assistant secretary. We met with the then Honorable Minister of Health. This is why politics is very, very, very important. Yes, we are needed more in the science world. We are also needed in politics, especially AMSI politics. But what kind of politics are we making? Is it the positive one or the one that will say go and kill him if he's not in our camp? That should not be. We met with the then Minister of Health. I don't want to mention the name, but you can hazard a guess who was the Minister of Health between 2014 and 2017 when I served as the national president. So, after making our presentations on why ML Lab Science should be given serious attention, when he was responding, he said, Mr. President, I don't think we need medical lab scientists again. We don't need many more medical lab scientists in the lab again because machine has taken over your work. And he said that in the presence of directors, the elders, and all the people that he has personally invited to that meeting. Because when a minister is participating in the discussion, all the other officers must be there, especially the principal officers of the ministry. I allowed him to finish, and I said, sir, usually when a minister talks, that will be the end of the presentation. So when he made that remark, I said, sir, it is unusual for me to respond after you had made your presentation. But let me correct an impression. That you are going to, if there is any time to need more medical lab scientists in our various health facilities, this is the time. The coming on board of automation does not replace the professionals that will make the machine work, because it's a matter of garbage in, garbage out. Somebody must be a specialist, application specialist. I thought about it earlier on. Somebody must be application specialist. Somebody must verify the equipment before it is installed. Somebody must calibrate. Somebody must periodically put in quality checks to make sure that things are working properly. That can never be done by machine. And that cannot be done by one person. So you need more people, more medical scientists. And this is the era for the young ones. And you must move at a pace that is commensurate with the scientific expectation. But when you do that, do that with the passion to contribute your best to the health system, not only of Nigeria, but global health system. And that is the key message that Professor Akinleye has extrayed throughout his presentation. We are very proud of you. We pray for longer life for you. We pray that more of our younger ones will continue to be inspired by this kind of quality presentation. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to chair this opening ceremony while I take my little exit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Before the next person comes up, first of all, I want to recognize and call to the high table the National Publicity Secretary of AMSIN and also the CEO, one of the best laboratories currently in Nigeria, LabCrest, Abuja, doing us well even in the digital revolution world. Okay, as when he comes back, we want to take some snapshots. Okay, Prof. Some persons have like 2 questions. Okay, online. Okay, please, a group photograph with the wireless ESCOs. Please come up. The ESCOs first, then other persons will join. Ike. So please, as much as persons that can join, just come and join. Let's just have a group. You can come so that, just be fast. No, you join with everybody. Yeah. Just come join. You can climb to the stage. Climb to the stage so that we'll keep it as a record, you know. So climb to the stage. Please hurry up. You can be snapping as people are coming so that... the gate will soon close. Oh, yeah. Okay.